Mirchi FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा साथी.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot.
देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi tauwa में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singatoka, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva.
It's hot.
हम वहीं के लिए लंबा समय रहता है. तो क्या बताइए, हम मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है.
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
In this bulletin, Tourism Fiji CEO removed for taking up appointment in Australia. 600 schools yet to submit financial reports for free education grants. And cooler months result in decline in milk production. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. Tourism Fiji Chief Executive Rick Hamilton has been immediately removed from his position as of today. This follows the announcement by Tourism and Events Queensland, where he has been appointed as Group Executive Partnerships. Christopher Chand reports.
Over a year after being appointed as the boss of Tourism Fiji, Rick Hamilton has suddenly departed. This too after the successful Fijian Tourism Expo last week. Hamilton has landed himself a job with Tourism and Events Queensland. This was only announced earlier today during the Australian Tourism Exchange. A government statement said Rick Hamilton has been immediately removed from the role as CEO of the National Tourism Body following his advice about his new job in a tourism office for a competing travel destination. Minister for Tourism Aya Syed Kayum says Tourism Fiji is now placed to fit a leader with a skill set necessary for the evolution of Tourism Fiji and its strategic plan. Syed Kayum says since taking over the role in January 2013, Hamilton assisted in the implementation of an important phase in Tourism Fiji's restructure. He says the board also acknowledges Hamilton's role in establishing and coordinating the successful Fijian Tourism Expo. It's believed Hamilton did not wish to be separated from his family and took up the new position after they did not relocate with him to Fiji last year. A replacement for the CEO position is expected to be announced in the near future following Hamilton's exit after 16 months in the role. Michael Mead was appointed acting CEO in December 2011. He lasted only 9 months. Mead had replaced Josefa Tuamoto, whose contract expired in November 2011. Tuamoto is now the CEO of Solomon Islands Visitors Bureau. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
600 schools have not submitted their financial reports for the first school term. Mika Longa reports the management have been given until the end of the month to comply so that they can receive free education grants for the second term.
The government is stepping in.
The Education Ministry's advice to schools are clear. They have to explain on paper first on how they've used their grants for term 1 in order to qualify for the second round of payment.
This term 2 grants will be given out depending on the submission of the audited financial report for the financial year of 2013. So up to Friday last week, we have paid out about $5 million to about 300 schools for this term 2.
There are a total of 900 schools that qualify for the free education grant. 600 are left to submit their financial reports and they have until 31st May to do so.
Then we have our district officers who will go out to the schools and see what is the problem, and then if we have to assist in any way, then we will assist them, because there are some remote schools. As you all know, they find it hard doing preparing their audited financial reports because of the remote location that they are in, and they do not have access to all the qualified auditors that we have in urban centers.
The Education Ministry's priority is to see that classes are not affected, and so it is preparing to send its accounts executives to sort things out if the need arises.
It's the school managements and the school heads that are responsible for the preparation of these audited financial reports. Probably to the parents that are listening, this should not be a hindrance to the students coming to school. It's not an issue that deals with the student.
The free education grant also covers the school's administration costs. If schools fail to meet the 31st May deadline of submitting the financial report, they have no right to penalize any students. However, they should wait for government to pay in the grant for free education. Mikalonga, FBC News.
The change in the weather to slightly cooler months has had an effect on the production of milk. According to the Fiji Cooperative Dairy Company Limited, there is a decline in milk production. Josephine Avula reports.
Although there has been a decrease, the Fiji Cooperative Dairy Limited says it is expected for this time of the year. About 23,000 litres of milk are being produced daily. The decline in production has also resulted in the price milk products increasing.
If you look at the overall production in terms of what we did last year, first quarter of last year and first quarter of this year, we have had as much as 21% decline in milk production. And this is, we can say, purely in regards to the rising cost of milk production.
The cooperative has seen increases in costs such as raw materials for the feed and other expenses.
We have had about 25% increase in molasses price. We had about 43% increase in copra meal price. And we had about 57% increase in the last 2 years of meal mix price. So these are significant increases, and what the farmers are getting, or what we are getting at the moment for raw milk, which is 87 cents a litre, does not fully cover for the cost of our producing raw milk. Cost of producing raw milk is between 90 to 95 cents per litre, depending on the mode of production.
Nan says farmers need to be adequately compensated for the production of raw milk for them to make any money out of production and invest on the farm. Josephine Avula, FBC News.
Today is a special day for nurses as they take some time to celebrate and reflect on their contribution to the society. It's International Nurses Day and celebrations were held at CWM Hospital in Suva. Vosita Kotewasawasa reports.
International Nurses Day falls on May 12th, the birthday of Florence Nightingale, who is widely considered the founder of modern nursing. Unlike Nightingale, the nurses today are facing emerging issues that are impacting their work.
Nursing today is evolving at a lightning speed because of the many changes that are driving this force. Climatic changes, changes to public health diseases that are coming back. So in Fiji, we have subspecialized into specialized areas such as cardiology and urology and so forth.
The theme for this year's celebration is Nurses, a Force for Change, a Vital Resource for Health. Over the week-long event, there will be a lot of discussions around the theme.
There has never been a time where nurses have access to education in Fiji, such as this time. Nurses can now specialize. They can now specialize. There's online access to education, there's postgrad education, so nurses can go as far as they want.
Leong adds it's because of this that there has been a significant drop in the number of nurses seeking greener pastures overseas. International Nurses Day will be celebrated in Suva this week, and the public can access information from the Government Resource Centre. Vosita Kotewasawasa, FBC News.
Coming up, new multi-purpose centre opens in Votolevu, Nadi.
Today FM is #1 here in Singapore.
We like Today FM in Lambasa. It's rock!
My favorite station in Nadi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM rocks in Suva.
Lodo kasi di love today's kid music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Vuniva Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Bulan 2 saya Tolu FM, enapan 2 raki-raki.
Bula FM nampan 2 inosor.
Go etabo ke buat kola sa Bula FM nga.
Bula FM nampan 2 korbu.
Bula FM nampan 2 esawa.
Bula FM nampan 2 lotoka. Bula.
Nampan 2 nam Bula FM memba.
Bula FM
nampan 2 NSR in Singapore.
Kalau talitak ada warung nam Bula FM lotoka.
Ale akar warung Bula FM nampan 2 NSR.
Bula FM nampan 2 NSR.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Elections officers preparing voting procedures for persons with disabilities have selected an overseas consultant to help them. The Elections Office has been closely discussing the needs on voting day of persons with disabilities with the Fiji National Council for Disabled Persons. Savaratambo reports.
As officials prepare for the September 17 elections, the needs of persons with disabilities on voting day are not being left out.
The staff on election day will be specifically trained on how they will be able to handle persons with disabilities, and we will work closely with the consultant and these NGOs.
The Fiji National Council for Disabled Persons is pleased with this move and is encouraging its members to make their vote count.
An overseas consultant coming in to assist in the area of disability access. I mean, we welcome that. And to the people with disabilities, yes, this is your chance to come in and give in your vote.
The consultant will also train election officers to develop voter education and training materials for disabled persons to assist them on the day of voting. Sabera Tambua, FBC News.
Labour disputes and OHS-related issues topped the agenda of meetings held between the public and Ministry of Labour officers on Vanua level. Labour Minister Chone Usumate led the delegation for public consultations in Lambasa, Nambawalu, Savusavu and Taviuni. Ellen Stalls has more.
Members of the public came out in numbers with many queries for the team. According to the Labour Minister Chone Usumate, the roadshow allowed them to meet and talk to people.
The concerns of the ministry of the people who came to sue us cover a whole range of different things, the money that's supposed to be paid to them not being paid, safety equipment, personal protection equipment on the workplace not being paid, unfair dismissal.
It was a good time for the Minister of Labour to reiterate the message of fairness in the workplace for both workers and employers.
Constantly when we go on these roadshows, we always tell people, in everything, government looks at things with two eyes. We don't just look at the interests of the workers, but it's important for employers to make sure that they give to their workers what is due to them. At the same time, it's absolutely critical that the employees themselves give their best to the employers.
The Minister for Labour says many of the complaints and queries were similar to those raised by the public in other roadshows. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
A new event centre has opened in Nadi, a result of the growing number of Fijians with successful businesses abroad returning home to invest locally. Bobby Khan of Nadi is one such businessman who has returned under the government's multiple nationality policy. Along with the supermarket, Khan has invested in the new Nadi Event Centre, which was opened last night. Akosita Tale reports.
Residents in Votua Levu and surrounding areas now have another choice for a venue to host weddings, birthdays and other social events. This new centre, which boasts a seating capacity of 1,000 and a cabaret dinner setting of 500, is right in their neighbourhood.
The thought of making a venue as such came into my mind. As I have seen on many occasions, people have no choice to hold great celebrations anywhere else but the hotel venues.
Members of the business community, families and friends joined the Attorney General and Tourism Minister Aya Sayed Qayyum for the celebrations to mark the opening last night.
It creates and it gives a sense of equality to access to amenities, and secondly, it improves the life of any individual.
Such investments by locals returning to the country under the government's multiple nationality policy should be appreciated, as it brings in more revenue and creates employment for the locals whose earnings will filter back into their communities and the economy.
It goes to demonstrate that there are a number of Fijians out there who have the willingness, given the right conditions, to return to Fiji. It demonstrates a certain level of confidence, indeed, not a certain level, but an overwhelming level of confidence.
The complex boasts 2 event facilities at present, the Chandelier Room and the Great Hall. An additional facility is expected to be built later this year. Akosita Tale, FBC News.
We turn to sports now. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Good evening. In sports tonight, an uphill battle for Team Fiji to the Commonwealth Games. Details after the break.
It's always Gold FM for us at Golden Point, Raki Raki.
Gold FM is #1 in Nusrat.
Gold FM is Nadi's best radio station.
It's always Gold FM with us here in Singatoka.
Old is gold, and Gold FM is #1 here in Lautoka.
Singatoka loves classic hits on Gold FM.
Listen to Gold FM here in Tagua.
We love Gold FM in Ba.
We've got beautiful beaches, people, and Gold FM in Raki Raki.
Lautoka loves the classic hits on Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Bato Bahe, Bame Radio Fiji 2 के कौन सा के रोके ऑनलाइन क्लियर
रेडियो फीजी 2 रकी रकी के लोग ज्यादा सुनते हैं।
नैनी में हम सबकी पसंद रेडियो फिजी 2।
तालेबू के लोग रेडियो फीजी 2 सबसे ज्यादा सुन रहे हैं।
मेरी पसंद रेडियो फिजी 2, मसूरी में सभी को पसंद रेडियो फिजी 2।
टावा में रेडियो फीजी 2 सभी कोई सुनते हैं।
रेडियो फिजी 2 रॉक।
रेडियो फीजी 2 आई लव यू।
देश की धड़कन रेडियो फीजी 2।
Despite the challenges, Team Fiji athletes are determined to participate in the Commonwealth Games in Scotland. Revealed at last week's management meeting, Games preparation costs exceed National Sporting Federation budgets. And as Elena MacDonald reports, officials are desperate for help.
Expectations at Games is always high. But what separates Pacific Island athletes from the bigger nations is the struggles they have to endure. As if training wasn't enough, Team Fiji reps must now contribute a $500 levy to assist with preparation costs.
I think some of the sports were a little bit taken aback of this levy that's sort of been, because it was our first meeting and we've just been going through our budgets. So without any government funding, it's stretching our capacity a bit. So.
From the 6 sports set to field athletes, swimming and weightlifting boast the biggest numbers.
Most of them have been to South Pacific Games, the Pacific Games, so this is the next level for them, and then hopefully a stepping stone for some of them to Rio in 2016.
To ease the financial burden, a grant is expected to come in from Games organisers this week. We're also fortunate enough to receive some direct assistance from Scotland.
A little village outside of Glasgow to host a couple of the sports. So we advise the sports on that. It's a little place called Dumfries who've offered to take up to 20 team members for pre-games training, and they'll accommodate them, meet them at the Glasgow airport and everything.
Farsanok has 3 weeks to finalise team numbers and about 6 weeks until the start of the Commonwealth Games. Considering our best efforts to get to the Games, let's hope some compensation will come in the form of our athletes performing above expectations. Elena MacDonald, FBC Sports.
Swimming Fiji is on the lookout for an overseas-based coach. Following in the footsteps of other sporting bodies who have hired expatriate mentors, swimming does not want to be left behind. Pravin Narayan has more.
Swimming wants to make a splash by roping in an overseas mentor to guide its national team.
Be able to have a full-time resource in terms of our high-performance athletes to basically coach them and take them up to the next level. And in saying that, I mean, we're also looking at not only the athletes but also the coaches themselves, so that we then build the whole resource base up so that we have sustainable and sustained performances as we move forward into the future.
Current task on hand for Swimming Fiji is to prepare for the Oceania Champs next week. Cardo says this is setting the platform for the Commonwealth Games in July.
Included in the squad to Oceania some of our elite swimmers who are of course beyond the age, the youth age group, who are looking at qualifying for the Olympics as well. So both the squad for the Nanjing Olympics and Youth Olympics, that is, and the Commonwealth Games potential squad up. In total there's around 14 odd swimmers that we have going on as part of this team to Oceania.
Some of the big swimmers in the country will be expected to create the ripples for Fiji. Praveen Narayan, FBC Sports.
That was your sports for tonight. It's back to Jackie now with business.
A Economical routes between the main islands and parts of Kandavo and Levuka are the target of the government's sea route licensing. Minister for Transport Timothy Natuva says the SRL would protect ship operators from undercutting each other in this high investment business. The first phase of the SRL involves the identification of economical routes, date and time of services, and the voluntary scheduling of these routes following consultation with operators. The second phase will be the determination of the SRL fee and operational conditions. Economical routes identified by government include certain routes taken by companies such as Venu Shipping, Gounder Shipping, and Patterson Brothers Limited. Let's look at today's conditions with Trish.
Well, we had fairly good weekend and the same weather started the work week. Let's look at today's map where Suva, Nadi, Lautoka and Ba all had fine weather except for a rare isolated shower or two. Savu and Lambasa were cloudy in the morning and throughout the afternoon. Looking at today's temperatures, Suva and Lautoka were on 30, Nadi was on 31, whereas Ba and Lambasa hit 32, and the lowest was the Hidden Paradise, Savu at 29. Now, tomorrow's weather, expect the usual chance of brief morning showers in Suva and Savu, followed by partly cloudy skies with a chance of isolated showers in the afternoon. Nadi, Lautoka, Ba and Lambasa should be fine in the morning and afternoon with only a slight chance of rain later in the day. Further outlook, fine apart from isolated afternoon or evening showers along eastern shores and interior of the main islands, moderate east to southeast winds, moderate to rough seas. Let's look at today's image. This sunset is viewed from the new patio behind the soon-to-open Grand Pacific Hotel. Thank you, Josephine Navula, for this photo.
Thanks so much for that, Trish. Recapping our top stories. Tourism Fiji Chief Executive Rick Hamilton has been immediately removed from his position as of today as he takes up his new appointment in Australia. 600 schools have until the end of the month to present their financial reports so as to receive the next round of free education grant from the Education Ministry. And Vodafone Fiji Sevens winger Samisoni Viriviri pays tribute to his coach, team and his mom for their support as he picks up the IRB Series Player of the Year award. On to our poll question. Last week we asked, are the political parties addressing issues of concern to the public? In response, 78% said no. This week's question we're asking, should there be an age limit on public service vehicles? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's FBC News for tonight. Join us again tomorrow at the same time, same place. Bye for now.
Talitak na Radio Fiji 1 na mwirani nonda bonua.
Ando talitak na borrongo na Radio Fiji 1 singa toka bulletin station ni alumatua.
Ando talitak bale una borrongo na Radio Fiji 1 station ni alumatua ilo toka.
Ando talitak bale una borrongo na Radio Fiji 1 na mandi na station ni alumatua.
Au tungoi korbo ando borrongo leve na station ni alumatua na Radio Fiji 1.
Ando borrongo na Radio Fiji 1 na station ni alumatua na mandoi tele.
Na Radio Fiji 1 nandu mai bitin bonga ni BNN.